What is happening, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Brew. Today, my co-host and I are welcoming Chris Yearling to the show. He's the founder of Brightside Style. They're a newer brand that I recently came in contact with. Did one review. Hopefully, doing more. I'm excited to hear more about their story. Chris, how are you, my friend?
How are you, gentlemen? Doing well on this side of San Diego.
Yeah, Steve, welcome back.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, my friend? Things are good over here. Kind of cold here in Michigan today, but things are going well.
Yeah. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Chris, we worked together on a video. We've been chatting for a couple of months now. Your brand's very interesting. I thought it had some really good imagery. I like your site. I like the ethos behind it. You know, I was telling Steve earlier today, giving him kind of a rundown of the brand. You know, the look on the bright side type of thing, you know, how that kind of impacts the brand. So why don't we start with a little about you, what you do at the brand, and how things came about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, name-wise, I'm an optimist by nature, so Brightside is just more of a life philosophy of mine. And my business partner and I, we actually come from the restaurant world, so we're service industry guys, and I'm a startup guy myself, so I'm an ideator, and I love bringing things to fruition. And I'd say around 2017, we started to see sort of where the food industry was going, pricing, expenses, et cetera. It was getting a little less fun for us, and we were loving the elevation of men's grooming and men's personal care. Barbershops starting to pop up, better premium products were coming to market. And we had a barber friend of ours who had a really high-end shop, Hugo the Barber, down here in San Diego, like phenomenal guy. So we just started chatting it up, and through about a year and a half of research and interest and chatting with other barbers, creating a network, we kind of realized a lot of the barbershop scene was very niche-based, and not that we wanted to create something generic. We just wanted to create something that was a premium, welcoming shop to the everyday person without having to be a cash only or rock or tattoo or a specific demographic. And so we set it out. And Brightside, in terms of just that style of lifestyle, we're San Diego guys. That's where the concept all came from.
Yeah, I love San Diego.
Our first shop opened in 2019. Yeah, it's definitely America's finest city.
Yeah. My wife and I honeymooned in California. We started in San Diego, and then went up the coast a little bit. So we go back there every couple of years. It's a really, really great town. I love being there. Steve, have you ever been over to San Diego?
No, I've only been to California one time, and that was just briefly too. We were in Las Vegas when I was a kid, and we hopped over to California just for a little bit to see like some ghost town or something. So I don't know anything of California. Sadly, I haven't been.
Do you remember the name of the ghost town?
Best tacos of my life.
Do you remember the name of the ghost town?
I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it was really fun. It was really, really touristy, really kitschy, that sort of thing, but it was pretty cool.
Like an old west town in the middle of the desert?
Yeah. It was a ghost town that wasn't a ghost town.
Calico? I bet it was.
Could be. That actually kind of sounds about right.
Yeah, I've been there. It's
actually
fun little town.
These little guys, I don't know if you can see, these guys came from that Las Vegas trip.
Nice. I had some of the best tacos of my life down there.
These are called Kachina dolls. They're Native American, some sort of Native American things. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool decor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take credit for the best taco. That'll be a battle with Texas, but
it's insane. It was like this. I met Mario from Don Juan at this shack. Just like, it was like a little shack in the middle of nowhere because I have no idea where I'm at. And I was like, what are we doing here? He's like, you're going to have the best taco of your life. And I'm like, okay, we walk in and there's just a bunch of guys on a flat top and, they're just slinging tacos there. And it was the best food I've ever had. Oh my God, it was amazing. I'm like, dude, it would be dangerous having this down the road from me all the time. So fantastic place. I highly recommend San Diego.
Speaking of food, it sounds like, Chris, you've got a history. You come from the food industry, and then you end up in the cosmetics industry. Can you tell us a little more about what was the difficulties, kind of transitioning? Yeah, that's a big, different, an unusual move.
I was also about to say too, you're kind of starting this right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We
have every cliche entrepreneur story from then till now. We can visit it, but it's It's
Mm-hmm.
literally
What we're here
every,
for.
I'm interested in hearing that angle too.
Some fun failure stories.
All right, yeah, let's hear it.
The transition from restaurant to barbershop really wasn't that big of a jump for us. It's service to service. It was customer based. We were brick and mortar guys, so we were excited to actually get out of food, get out of the product industry, and just have the human element. So it wasn't
That's
necessarily, it wasn't necessarily a big jump. The irony, what we found out is essentially in a barbershop, the barbers are both your service staff and your menu. So when you know, in the restaurant industry, when you lose a staff member, you just refill that staff member and you still have the same menu. When you lose a barber, they take half your menu with you because they are the product.
Yeah.
So that was a learning lesson in and of itself. But yeah, we probably started concepting in 2017, 2018. We opened in a really busy premium center in 2019, sort of in June, and we took off. It was really, really fast growing. Of course, that was 7-8 months before the shutdown. And
you guys got hit really hard there in California too.
That was an interesting time. But yeah, the first cliche right there. We actually had it was February. We had our second location lease in hand, and we had just created the product line company, which at that time the goal was mainly to feed the barbershops, a little direct to consumer, but ultimately it was going to be a larger brand of shops.
Okay, so you made your products not necessarily wanting to market them to the masses like what you're kind of doing now. It was mostly just to feed your own barbershops and keep them stocked with good product.
Yeah, so direct to consumer plus just feed us, but wholesale, other shops and all that. Originally it wasn't the goal, because we wanted to feed our brand. And
so how many different barbershops did you have at the time?
We had
got worked into the second one?
We had gone from 2 barbers to we had 7 or 8 chairs at that time. So we were growing really fast. We had an investor check in hand, the second company formed, the lease in hand, and the day that was March, I want to say it was like March 10th, and then we shut down on
2020? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was our first, so
bad timing.
Everything got torn up.
I was going to say, like, within days, the lockdown started, because that was like right when I remember hearing about the first set of lockdowns was like around March.
Yep.
Were you able to back out of the lease
March
at least?
15th or something. Yeah, luckily, well, it actually worked out in our favor because we had negotiated, we were going to go below a really big gym chain in a really premium mall. And one of the things we had negotiated was that we wouldn't start paying rent until the gym opened. So the mall was happy to let us out.
That's smart.
It's actually now 2024 and the gym never opened, so we would have never paid rent. So the mall was happy to tear up the lease.
There you go.
That's crazy.
Thank God you had that etched out.
Yeah, lucked out there.
Nothing happened for 6 months. And we really wanted to own our own formulas. So at the time, we were just playing with ingredients. We were testing other products. We were looking at the things we didn't want, setting our bowling lanes of here are the claims we want to make sure we have. Let's look at all the performance products that don't have this or does have that. We were lucky to have some really good help with independent chemists.
Yeah. Are you guys cooking yourselves?
We're not cooking ourselves, just formulating ourselves.
Oh, okay. So you guys like cook it yourself at first and then transfer the production to a lab? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's not too much different than essentially what we do, except for we just design it ourselves and then cook it ourselves on a larger scale. So it's not too much different.
I've done that in the past too. I used to have a lab that I would work with, and that totally makes sense. It's a lot of times that's the best way to keep your margins where they need to be and you not have the crazy overhead. So I totally get that.
Yeah, ours. We didn't even really understand a lot of the differences in margins then. Outside of we just know a lot of brands right now are sort of private label or semi-custom. They go to a manufacturer, they get a base, they change 2% of stuff, change a cent, and then slap a new label on. We didn't want to do that. We also didn't want to give ownership to a specific manufacturer. In case we wanted to grow or do it in other countries, stay local in various countries that we go to. So we always wanted to make sure. Plus, I'm kind of a pain. Manufacturers, I have very specific requirements and standards, and we've gotten fired from manufacturers for it. But
There's nothing wrong with that. If they can't hang, then you know, time to move on. That's kind of how I've viewed it. I can be kind of a pain too, especially when formulating. Steve's worked with me on countless projects formulating, you know, and he's luckily he's the reason why we work so well together is he's a little bit like me in that thing where we'll chase down that super fine detail. We'll chase it down and we won't settle until we have it. And I think for other people it can be really off-putting, you know, like, why are we still working on this little thing? Or like, because this little thing is important and we have to have it. And so that's kind of, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Did you have any, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, and ultimately it's your name that's on the product. It's not whoever your lab is that's making it. It's not their name on it. So you have to be kind of a little bit of a prick about it. You got to tell them, like, this is a part of my quality control. You guys are going to have your quality control, but I'm going to make sure it's right too. And if it's not, you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm out of here or whatever you got to do with them.
It makes you second guess yourself a lot. You know, when you have people say something isn't possible, to an extent, that's not always a good thing. If you think something is, you have to give in and compromise at some time. But yeah, now that we're here, I feel good about it. The fact that I started formulating in 2020 and we launched in 2024, you know, there are many moments where I'm like, man, white private label would be.
I hear you. Like, you know how long it took me, because I don't have the same talent that Steve has where, you know, he can be the master of manipulation with the ingredients and the ratios. And I had to like teach myself. And a lot of people thought that I got a ton of help, and I didn't. And that was actually like one of the best gifts that Steve and Wade gave me, was that they didn't try to hold my hand through the formulation process. And they really, you know, you're going to learn, you're going to figure this out on your own, because that's kind of where you are, you know, you sharpen your tools. That's where you figure it out. You know what you're doing, and there is no way to kind of leapfrog that when it comes to cosmetic chemistry. You can either do it with somebody else holding your hand and then you don't learn anything at the end of the day, or you can, you know, sharpen your skills and put the work in and drag yourself through the trenches and figure it out. So, and that took me so long. I'm talking like 4 or 5 years, Steve, right? Like 4 or 5 years, because I'm just not inclined that way. It's just...
Yeah, I know. It took some time. And I wasn't either at the beginning. You know, it took us a long time for, especially to get into water-based products. I mean, that took us probably 4 or 5 years. Oil-based products, it took us some time to get into that realm. And I mean, it's all about learning what each ingredient does. You know, I've always kind of attributed it to almost like you know, different paints on your palette as an artist. You know, each ingredient is going to do a different thing, and you need to know exactly what those things are going to do. So that's why I was always just, I'm not going to tell you what it's going to do, but I want you to learn what it's going to do. And then you can start, you monkey around with it and you find out what's, you know, it's essentially A/B testing. I mean, Chris, you know marketing, you've been in the business world. It's a lot of it is just A/B testing over and over and over, trying to figure out what does what.
But you just have to have the patience.
Yeah, you guys also had the huge benefit of having a barbershop that you could then go and like test your stuff with, like right there. I had to like figure that out, like get friends like barbers and see and wait for them to be able to do it. So I mean, was that just like a huge help to you guys having that at your disposal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal in creating something that you like, but then checking your ego and being like, but is this something that people like? We had the benefit, and especially through manufacturers, normally they want to give you 3 chances. We have, to your point, we have samples of some of our products that we were on round 30. Oh. And, you know, so being able to have 3 samples sent with a 1% difference, and then letting a staff as well as customers take it, play with it for weeks at a time. And that's where the patience comes in, because just one round will take you a month, then the notes, then they remake something. So you're at 30, 60, 90 days just in between tweaks. And but having that, like, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people test the products prior to saying, okay, this is it. And that, along with just being able to wait that long or take that process, I think that's the benefit to why our sort of feedback. I'm glad now, again, in the process, I hated it.
Yeah.
But now it's good because the feedback is so much more confirming. We're not going through the tweak process while we're out to market.
Yeah.
So we're not worried
you were
about
testing,
second chances.
You tested for basically 4 years then? 3 years, 4 years before you guys actually released to the public?
Yeah, so that brings back to kind of the cliche story. We went through 4 manufacturers.
Wow. Okay.
One our
In
fault
4 years.
in 4 years before launching. And
Whoa.
so that was part COVID, part me, part tech transfer in terms of that's one thing like, Mike and I probably can say we have our masters in Google chemistry, but at some level we went, a San Diego manufacturer we started with, she lost her whole staff during COVID. So that
Yep.
I
saw that several
we just
times
ended the
with
relationship
labs.
after 9 months. It was just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So we went to then we had started with another manufacturer just in the original sampling, didn't work out. Went to San Diego. Then we found someone in Carolina, really loved them. Great product, really fun chemist. And we spent about a year plus with them, got to launch, and going from West Coast to East Coast, even the difference in raw ingredient on a molecular weight of a kaolin clay, the diatomaceous earth, impurities versus theirs, like resourcing, especially with our texture cream, because we have so much clay that we didn't want to dissolve because we wanted it to get a matte finish. Like that formula breaks so easy, and even the exact formula, we had to make sure that the supplier and the exact molecular weight of something was the same or it would break the formula. So we went through a lot of that. So Carolina was our fun one. They were an all in-house screen printer, everything, great facility. And so that would have been, our launch was set for February of 2022. And we had ordered all our components, all formulas confirmed. We paid a deposit. So we had invested everything, got everything sent out to Carolina. The night I was flying out, because I wanted to go out there the day we started filling, the night the owner called me and tried to pretend he had the flu and asked me not to come. And I was like, you're not the one filling, so I was already at my layover, so I was like, I'm already in Vegas, like I'm getting on a plane in an hour, so I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
And went to Carolina, showed up, and the doors were locked. Nobody was there.
Oh my God.
They had already gone bankrupt.
Oh, so they took your money.
No way.
Yeah, so they had actually had sold their accounts receivable to an investment firm months before, but it was all fake.
Oh no.
So they were in a massive like venture capitalist lawsuit. They almost put a handful of people. We got in touch with a couple of their smaller vendors like us, and we had to get like the sheriff to come down just to get our stuff out of the building.
Right.
Ship it back. So that was a good, and then luckily we came back to the West Coast. And that's essentially where we lost another year. But coming back here, at each time, the silver lining is we were able to kind of tweak. We got just that more extra time of testing and tweaking and perfecting the formula. So as painful as it was in both timing and financially, at least the benefit is the product. We're almost on round 4 of every product. So it's like the new and improved version is our first version now. So at least that's what I have to live with. Like that's the best part of it. We've launched with round 4 and with 4 years.
The fact that you're still referring to yourself as looking on the bright side of anything after going through all of that is a feat in itself. Kidding. Like, I tip my hat to that. How much did you guys lose to that scam?
Probably $60K.
Oh my God.
And that's, I'd love to throw in the opportunity cost of launching 2 years later.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that was
what
2 years worth of sales.
How do you put a dollar figure on that? That's crazy.
No, we're trying to, but yeah, they owed, we're so, even trying to get the money, we're so far down on the list. It turned into something that was, again, every cliche in the book you can think of. They're just lessons learned. You start to see the red flags in everyone, because everyone was scrambling at the time. It was COVID. Some people got help. Some people got funny money. Some people were in pure fraud. You were just kind of starting to learn the red flags, starting to learn personalities of manufacturers. Everyone fluffs to some extent of their abilities. We had a manufacturer tell us that they were just dialed into hot pours, and then when I went out to see the facility, they had like a sleeved little bucket rigged on top of a manual pump. They had never, so they were transferring from their main tub, trying to get it over, retemp it, they'd never done it before. So
Clearly.
it's what I'm gathering here is anybody that's looking to get into this business, it's a really good idea to go and inspect your manufacturing facilities to show up and be hands-on. It seems what I'm gathering is that it's a really good idea to keep tabs on whoever's making your stuff.
Yeah. And no matter what, you can only, you know what you're doing only until you know there's a lot more that you don't know that you know. That was a weird way to say, yeah, I don't know.
I think I got it.
But
No, that's a good point.
Startups, I mean, this is the process, and there's a lot of trust in professionals, but it's okay to double check. And it's just know that I think there's in any industry, but particularly in this, because there's so many products out there, and it is so easy to white label or private label just the same stuff that's in 2 different jars with 2 different stickers. I think there's a misnomer that creating a good product and creating your own product is easy to do.
Yes.
And as talented in startups as I think I am with my experience, it was 100 times harder. Yeah. And it's still, to the day, like every step of this still tests me with every market we launch. Now we're into distribution mode. We're going through the same lessons we learned with sales reps and distributors, agencies, marketing. It's a really, really interesting process, and you just kind of have to have fun with it to some extent, or you drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, Steve and I know a little bit about that when I launched that our thing that really the podcast is named after, Behind the Brew. That was a web show on my channel where I filmed the operations of stuff. I don't know if Chris, if you've seen any of the episodes or not, but like the biggest one that we've done, or like the one that really kicked things off, was Goon Grease with Steve over there. And I think, Steve, I don't know if you got them, but I got a ton of messages from people who were like, you made this look so easy that I'm never going to buy another Goon Grease again. I'm going to just buy the stuff and do exactly what you did on the video, and I'm going to have a lifetime supply of my own.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they just...
Yeah. And that's just an oil-based pomade. It's not even that difficult of a formula, but to try and recreate that, if you want Goon Grease, I mean, I'll tell you this, that video is what, 8 years old, 7, 8 years old,
something like that.
And Goon Grease is still, to this day, I think it's still #1 as our bestseller. It might be #2 now. Anti-Gravity has really come on really strong. But yeah, we're still selling a ton of Goon Grease. People have not figured out how to do it themselves. It is like you said, Chris, it's so much harder than you really think, because there's so many different chemical reactions that are happening, because you're using, all these, I mean, it's not just oil, wax, fragrance.
Butter.
It's not that.
It can be. I think there's a lot of products that are that. I've actually watched the Goon Grease video. That is a good one.
Nice.
Thank you.
But yeah, you also watch a lot of them where it's like, I have my 5-gallon stainless steel pot on just on this stove, and I just kind of throw, and it doesn't look like they measured. And they're like, then you just throw a little bit of this oil and you've got this perfect product. And
it's easy. There's nothing to it.
I went into it thinking that, and then I learned very quickly.
And you can make something that will, I mean, make your hair look okay, but you can't make something that's marketable. You can't make something that you can actually sell, and you can't make something that's refined to the point where a customer is going to take their hard-earned money and give it to you for you to provide this hair product. That takes a lot.
Stability testing was also a big one. For us, balancing clean ingredients and maintaining performance and stability that's our the triangle of the challenge we had. We had products sitting from other companies that we were testing, samples that we were testing, at 6 months, 9 months, they start to just break. So you want something that works, but normally the more high performance and shelf life, you start to add some of the ingredients you don't really want in there. And so it's really, really challenging. And the stuff that works, that is good for you, starts to get really expensive.
Right.
And so then you have to be willing to add that 10 cents, that 15 cents, that 20 cents here and there. And as long as, I think that's why our goal is always to create the bowling lane sort of bumpers, that we just said, no matter what, we don't go outside of that. There's no considering it if it goes outside of that. Because it's very easy. That was my biggest lesson in trying to do performance and healthy ingredients, was it's very tempting to just go right outside that line.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little more, like what were those guidelines for you? Did you have really specific?
Yeah, some easy ones are EWG scores. you know,
Okay.
you see all natural products that they'll throw the cheap preservative in there. That's an 8.
Mhm.
You know, EWG is 1 through 8, and 1 to 2 is perfectly fine. 3 to 4 is like, doable, just don't eat it. You know, you start getting into 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're getting into orange and red, and most preservatives are 8s.
Yeah.
So I think, but they work, they make it really stable, and they're really cheap. And so they're just with every ingredient, making sure that you do that and going, no, is there an alternative? Is there a better one? Is there one that's almost every, I think, you know, we have our shampoo on deck, but I think our highest ingredient is tea tree. So it's an all natural product is our most, just because it's such a sensitive product for a lot of people. But everything else for us was keeping the EWG 2 and under, unless it's an absolute requirement because there's nothing else. Like there's no conditioning product that's under 4, I think.
I'm looking at your ingredient list right now. Actually, that's what I'm doing here. And this is one of the things that caught my eye when you first emailed me. When somebody emails me for review, I always look over their stuff and you know, just do a quick check and see what's going on. And I'll be even though you guys really aren't a new brand per se, couple of years old. I had never heard of it, so it was a new brand to me. What I have noticed as a trend with these new brands, and I'm gonna go out on somebody might get a little PO'd at what I'm about to go into here, but like these new healthy brands with like 3 ingredients in their products, and they got these ad campaigns that say like, oh, there's only 2 things in our product. It's clay and it's unicorn tusks. That's the only thing that's in our jars, and it's the best thing in the freaking world. It's better than everything. And then you get it, and it's absolute crap. Like it just doesn't. It's greasy. It doesn't work. So what I appreciated, and really what caught my eye, because from my seat, there's 12 brands that are coming at me. I'm looking at them all, and I'm seeing the differences and similarities. And what stuck out to me right away was I call it kind of common sense formulating. That's kind of how I view it. Okay. You have healthy ingredients, shea butter, beeswax, jojoba, but you're being healthy without being mental about it. Like just like, why do we have to performance needs to be the forefront. That is always should be the forefront. Performant, give results. And if you need,
I like your triangle analogy. You got to have that performance. You got to have the ingredients, and I forget the last one. Stability. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have that. And like, if you are one of these brands that's got 2 things in your products, how can you achieve all 3 of those things on the triangle? I'm sure you probably got stability because you got nothing in your jar. That's fine. Performance, it's not going to be there. Ingredient, you'll check. The most you'll get is 2 out of 3, in my opinion. You're never going to get all 3. And so what I appreciated right away was what stood out to me was I saw a lot of similarities between what I prefer to do and what Steve does, and a lot of who we work through in our Lockhart's family of brands. Common sense formulating. Like there's not extras in there. There's not BS ingredients in there that are just in there as fillers, for one.
Yeah.
There's not weird chemicals, but you've got stuff in there that will bring about results. So that was kind of what stood out to me. The other thing that I want to pick your brain on is your packaging, because it was something that definitely stood out to me. A lot of these brands are kind of, I'm sure you've seen it, you've tested for so long. A lot of packaging starting to look kind of similar to each other. Everybody's doing like a white on black or black on white or minimalist thing. Yeah. And you guys came through. You got kind of a minimalist thing going on there, but you've got kind of the darker undertones with the charcoal gray packaging and the bright colors. I'm a bright color person with my brand too, so that stood out to me right away. But how long did it take you did you go the custom route with your packaging, or how long did that take for you?
Yeah, it's all 100% custom.
Wow.
Down to the Pantone color.
That's awesome. Do you guys have that?
That was actually the fun part. That was just as painful, but it's fragrancing, because we have everything custom fragrance too. It's an independent fragrance house, clean fragrances.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
We didn't want it off the shelf at the manufacturer. Just too hard to control, and the stuff they offer. Ours is, that was actually the most fun, was the fragrances. In fact, now we're actually making fragrances now, but making the fragrance base oil for these products was really, really fun. And then, yeah, this product, all custom. So the product that you've seen right now, our first batch is sticker labeled.
Oh, okay.
And part of that cliche story was the Carolina factory had a screen print machine. So we created all blanks. So part of the moving back to West Coast was getting that and then finding an ultra clear matte label to make it still look like the screen print.
We've gone down that road before with the clear labels.
Yeah. So, but we'll be done with that inventory soon. And then as of January, our new components, we have our screen printed bottles.
Oh, those look fantastic.
Yeah, I love your bottles. Yeah. The spray bottles are they're unique. They're easy to use.
Officially, we'll be back to our screen printed.
Screen printing is really the way to go. It's really there's no comparison. I ran a while with clear labels myself. There's always something getting stuck underneath them. They're hard to photograph. They're hard to make look.
You get a little bubbles.
Yeah, they're hard to make it look line. Because I'm just annoying when it comes to that. I want the label to be on the level, perfect, seams matching. That's what I want, and it hardly ever gets like that. It's annoying.
Ours were, and because of we have a rubber matte finish on the bottle, and for whatever reason we couldn't machine label them, so they're all hand labeled.
Oh.
And the funniest part is if I could show you the number from our manufacturer who filled it, but the number of upside down labels we have.
Really?
We have. Yeah. I'll send you that for review.
That's fine.
How do you hand label them upside down?
I don't know. Again, there's some of the things in this process that you just have to.
You get on autopilot and then you don't realize you're just putting it.
Yeah, that's wild though.
It would have. I'm too much of a perfectionist. It would have taken me like 5 minutes to sticker. So it's not something I could have done.
Well, Steve, you and your team hand labeled for years.
Yeah, we hand labeled for a long time. Yeah, I know how time consuming that can be.
Yeah, hats off to you, man. If you're a perfectionist too, that is. And you see it in the market. You see a lot of big brands. And I have to remind myself, that's one of the exercises. You'll get massive brands and I'll see that, other people's houses and you'll go to the bathroom and the label is just wildly crooked on a multi-million dollar brand. So you know that at the end of the day, that's just part of the process. So you have to teach yourself some level of acceptance. But yeah, that's a fun one. But we were lucky with the branding. We had the brand comes from our barbershop, the Comb Car.
Yeah.
We were throwing random stuff out there. We wanted it to still be fun and active, but yet still, we just didn't want it to be too nichey. So I think that's what we're going for, slightly elevated packaging, but still welcoming.
Yeah.
We don't want to flirt with the idea of luxury. We love premium. We put most of the effort of what's inside the bottle, but we just wanted the outside of the bottle to be simple and welcoming. And we've been lucky enough to just have really creative help and assistance and guidance. So anything I come up with, I can throw it at some very talented people who are in the business at a really high level with bigger companies. And so I will say we've been sort of blessed with the luck that we get advice from people who are working with companies who have massive market budgets, who are doing all of the trends, who are doing all the surveys, who are letting us know, hey, this is what's working and what's not. The 1, 2, 3 skincare in men's that everyone's jumping on is massively failing, so don't do that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Noted.
Men, at the end of the day, as much as skincare is booming, they still just want the one thing. They don't want 17 products in their bathroom. So we're lucky enough to kind of have, here's what's coming didn't work, here's what is coming back, and we take it in really, really heavy advice, and then we see what works within our lane, and we just stay true to ourselves, and hopefully that's the goal. And so far, we've come out really, really strong. We're in probably 25 states now.
Wow.
Mexico as of Q1 next year. We might be doing EU by as soon as Q1 next year. Wow. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
That's fantastic. In Europe, that's a tough one to crack because there's so much testing that's required and so much paperwork and documentation and stuff like that. So
yeah, we're just starting that. Luckily we've already done it. So every batch we make, because all raw ingredients are already tested, because we independently did our fragrances, we have all the data sheets. We
Nice.
have all the stability tests. We've done the freezer test, the heat test. We do a microbe test on every single batch. So a lot
It's
of
just
it
a
is
matter of finding
transferable.
somebody that can go onto
Yeah.
the CPMP and
Yeah.
get you registered.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then just officially making sure that the labeling is all correct and based on countries, you label if we have to sticker a different
Yep.
language. That's the only part about screen printing, I will say. When you screen print, you're screen printing in really large batches. So
Yep.
if you have to change
You
something,
better get it right.
yeah. So that's that I saw during COVID, everyone went back to sticker labeling because they were swapping ingredients when everything was out.
Yep.
Or if they lose, supply chain issues, they were able to just change the ingredients. So I see the benefit in that. It's just so much more sexy when it's screen printed.
It is. There's no
Agreed.
there's no
Agreed.
comparison. It just looks
Yeah,
very,
it's
we
so
we recently
nice.
just relaunched our Dauntless brand and our lids are printed. Our labels are this like leather label. It's really cool. But looking at the lid, I'm like, oh, it looks. There's nothing like a nice.
It just looks better. Just looks better.
Lid. Yeah, just
It's
crisp.
not, when you see a brand, like the cool part about this, as much as there's 7 million products, I'm not a competitive type of guy. I think there's enough business to go around. I love appreciating what good brands do. I love brands that emboss the plastic.
Oh yeah.
Put a rise up. I love
Or metal
texture
or-
on that. There's some really cool brands out there that are different and unique. I appreciate when someone creates a beautiful brand.
Yeah, I try to hit it on my reviews too. I think I mentioned it in your guys' review even that when a brand takes the time to create an experience for the customer, I pay close attention to that. I enjoy it. I like a good box that it comes in. I think you guys like put my name on the inside of the box and everything, and I kind of like that sort of thing. It just I think it gives the customer kind of a connection to the brand when they get it. And some people just fire right back at me and say like the box is going right in the trash, so it's a waste of time and money. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think the people that appreciate it are a larger group than the people who think of it as just trash. So whatever you can, there's little things. It's just about those little things because they all add up to big things in the end. All the little things that you do for people. So I think it's awesome. I've also over the years come to appreciate a good barber made hair product. Like I think I did it by accident a couple of reviews ago. I didn't because this brand didn't advertise that they were barber owned and barber made on their website or any of the information they gave to me. I was using it and I just kind of blurted out in the review, this feels to me like a barber made product, some of the attributes I'm seeing. And like they emailed me right after the video came out and they were like, yeah, you called it, we're barber owned. And I've just kind of come to know certain things, like see certain things that barbers tend to infuse into their formulas because you can speak to this better than me, but what I think they're trying to do is give the barber experience at home, give you a similar feel. You're obviously not going to get the same thing because they are talented and, treat you super well when you're in the chair. But if they can make the hair style look, as best as it can at home, that's what they're going for. And that's what I think barbers tend to do when they design products.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think what it helped us the most having multiple people work on it, customer and barber, was in both how you and I were doing it. You can only research so much, and certain ingredients and products will say they do something, and being able to see if it actually does that was our biggest help. I think that's what you'll get in a lot of barber products is you can weed through or test the marketing claims.
Yeah.
If things say this is what it does to your hair, we're not the perfect product for everybody. I think there's a product for everybody out there, but I think what we've said we can test that it does it in most people's hair. And now you have weather, you have environment, you have humidity, you have all these variables, and you're never going to be able to perfect that. But knowing that we were able to test it on a lot of people's head and a lot of different hair and a lot of different environments does help. And that's what we benefited from our barber team a lot, and the customers.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. Go ahead, Steve.
I wanted to go back to the fragrance though. I heard you a little bit ago talking about how you guys are actually going to be expanding into fragrances. Something that I've noticed with our customers, and something we've done for years, fragrance has always been such a big part of what we do. and you talked about your three tiers earlier. I kind of have something similar where, I always thought packaging has to look nice, the fragrance has to knock people's socks off, but then the performance obviously. So that's kind of my ethos is the packaging has to look good from 15 feet away so that a
Yeah.
customer is willing to even go look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what's the first thing they do? They open it up, they take a sniff,
Take a
they
sip.
smell it. So as long as it smells good, that's quite often, at least in my opinion, that's usually what sells it.
Yep.
And then they're going to put it in their hair, and as long as it works, as long as it holds their hair the way that they want it to, then they're going to be coming back for more. So it's kind of similar to your thing, but I mean yours obviously was based on formulation. Do you feel like you've got a similar experience? Because you said you guys have fully custom fragrances.
You actually said it perfectly in terms of our triangle for like formulation and what's in the bottle, but in terms of the purchase process, that if we, when we were thinking, okay, we have your direct to consumer, mostly online, it has to be visually appealing in your lifestyle imagery.
Mhm.
But we also, once we decided, ultimately we're not going to continue on with the shop concept. So we sold the shop to the barbers, and we decided to go just full blown with the product line. Then that brought in wholesale, then that brought in retail. And so the idea was exactly to your point, well, this is going to be on shelves. So now there's a physical experience prior to the decision to buy. And now that has to do with touch and feel. So even down to like the box we used has a soft paper finish on it. Does it have a contrasting matte and gloss to at least pop, but not look like it's for a teenager? Like, and then the bottling and opening. So the smell test, it was massively crucial. So exactly the way you described it. Yeah. If you're going to sell anything on a shelf, you have to do what you just said.
Yep.
And
It's got to
so
look good. It's got to smell good. The thing that actually, like I always did it. Everyone's done it. Everyone's grabbed something and sniffed it. But the thing that actually made me say, like, man, there's something really to that olfactory experience.
Mhm.
I was actually at an auto parts store one time, and I was buying, I think I was just buying like turtle wax or something, and I was just asking the guy, hey, where's the turtle wax? I can't find it. He went and grabbed it, and the guy took the turtle wax, opened it up, took a sniff of this thing, and I'm just like, that's wax for my car. What are you doing? And I was like, 1 year into making pomade at that point, and we were already was just like, it's got to smell pretty good, whatever. But at that point, I was just like, people really do make purchases with their nose
Mm-hmm.
very often, and apparently they make purchases with their nose just with turtle wax and things that aren't even, you're not even put on your body. But I was just,
Yeah. And
I
I
don't know.
know
So
that
that
turtle wax smell too. Like it,
it
and it
smells
does,
good.
it does bring you back to certain times that like if you had a car that you wanted to take care of and,
Mhm.
you're of somewhat of an older age like I am, that was the brand.
Yeah.
Or
And
growing up, I grew up in obviously San Diego, but I grew up in Hawaii. And so like the smell of the original sex wax for your surfboard,
Wow.
okay, yeah.
there's no reason for a surfboard wax to smell.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. But that scent, like it brings a visceral experience back. So it's
Yep.
so true.
It also covers up
You hear
bad
people
smelling ingredients.
that as well.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard to mask that. That was the other part of the fragrance is, does it smell like a good product, or does it smell like you sprayed Febreze in your bathroom? Like, are you
Yeah.
are you covering? And that was hard. The original push for us on the fragrance was our main product we were launching with was actually the shower line. So our shampoo and body wash, that's
That's
still not
key.
launched, which finally, we're back to a formula we love. We're still tweaking the conditioner, but that was the original. And so, to Steve's point, the actual physical open sniff test on a shelf and then the lather test was like the absolute key. And that's what spawned the idea of being a fragrance forward. And at the time, this was 2020, 2021, the fragrance forward brand was just getting started. Now I wouldn't even say we're ahead of the curve. We're just on it in terms of brands that are really putting some good sense into their formulas and not just, bourbon or coconut or like something that's just a
Mint.
traditional scent.
Basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys are creating really complex, beautiful scents that are being put into their formulas. So I love that trend. I love the fragrance trend. I love the small brands. There's a couple guys down here, Guy Fawkes. They make some really good. they're just a cologne disruptor. I love that industry is opening up to small creative businesses in both the body spray all the way up to the cologne.
Yeah, that's
really
awesome.
Cool.
Well, we're coming up on time here. We've got a little tradition we do on the show here where every guest kind of floats a little something on the horizon, maybe drops a little news at the end of the episode. Is there anything you can bestow upon us as we close this out?
Well, I think I prematurely dropped all that, right? We have shampoo and body wash and our conditioner. So all set for hopefully Q2 2025. We are on semifinal rounds of the fragrances. So those will be our next drop. And,
fragrances, like EDP cologne type fragrances you're saying, or?
Yeah, we're playing with, a body. It's hard because I love the idea of body spray, but Axe has just destroyed that. But I've started to see it coming back. So as long as the market is okay with the idea of a body mist or body spray, there's something that's a little bit lighter, a little less heavy, and something you might kind of carry around, spray multiple. But that's our 2025, and I'll mention it. But we have, Brightside is our original name, but our 3 lines that will coming out that'll be fragrance based, our shower and body line. So our hair product will always be our style line, but our shower line will all fall under each one of those. So we do have, they're all states of mind. So we have our dark side, our wild side, and our bright side, and that'll be.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
The dark side. Dark side. I love that.
I was thinking earlier when you were talking about the name of the company, Brightside, and you guys had to go through so much just losing $60,000. That was immediately, I would have gone straight to the dark side. I'd have been furious. I'd have burnt that building down. You know what I mean? Yeah, no. Wow. That's really cool though. I love that concept.
Yeah. So our bright side is that daytime living. That's why it's a fresh, clean bergamot scent with just a hint of wood. Our dark side is going to be a little bit more of suede lavender. So it is a little bit more of that nighttime, still warm and welcoming, but a little more sex appeal. And then our wild side, we're going to go real bold with it. So it's not necessarily outdoorsy wild type. It's just wild, like out of the box. And I think we all have each element of that in us. And so I'm hoping most people can appreciate all 3 based on how they're feeling in the moment or what they're doing in the moment.
There you go. That's a really good way to end it. I think I'm excited to see it. Hopefully I'll get a chance to take a look. I'm really stoked.
We'll send you everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate your content. You do really good reviews, Mike.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on today. That's all
happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I was really excited to hear more about you. I'm excited to see what you guys do in the future. I think next year is going to be a big year for all of us. And I'm excited to see what that comes with you guys as well. But that is all we got for today. If you want to see more from our guest here, you can find Brightside Style at their website, brightsidestyle.com, and their Instagram at brightside.style. You can also find more from me weekly on the channel, Modern Man TV, here on YouTube. And my counterpart, you can find him at Lockhart's Pomade on Instagram and lockhartsauthentic.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.